Before we begin, I want to offer just a brief word of context. This episode was originally recorded and released 6 years ago, early in the life of this podcast. As I listen back now, I hear it through very different ears. After years of growth, grief, rest, and learning how to live and lead from a quieter, more grounded place. And yet, what I notice most is how some things haven't changed at all. The Christmas story still invites us to make room. Ordinary people still matter, and wonder is still a holy place to begin. So today, rather than re-recording or refining, I've chosen to let this episode stand as it is, raw, simple, and honest. My hope is that you'll receive it not as something polished, but as an invitation to pause and reflect in this season.
Merry Christmas and welcome to episode number 53 of the Enneagram in Your Real Life podcast. My name is Teresa McCloy, and I'm the host of the podcast, and I am so blessed to be here with you today. I have to admit, it does seem a little bit different to be releasing a podcast episode on Christmas Day, and I'm recording it almost a week to the day beforehand because I have been contemplating on what type of episode would I put out on Christmas Day. And I decided that I would take a pretty large risk and a pretty transparent risk to share something very personal with you today, very much from my heart. And there's a little bit of a story to go along with it. So if you've been listening to the podcast for very long, that I am a type 3 on the Enneagram. And I often talk about the harmony model here on our podcast, as I love that model of the Enneagram. And so I'm a 369 on the Enneagram. But I have a very, very strong 4-wing, that creativity and uniqueness about me that you may not hear as much here on the podcast as plays out in my everyday ordinary life, as I say. And one of the things that I love to do that I very much know that has been given to me through my type 4 wing is to write music. Now, I have written music since I was a very little girl. Probably the earliest recollection I have of writing songs was maybe around 4th grade or so when my parents gifted me an auto harp. Always had music in my life, piano and organ lessons and voice and all kinds of things, and thought when I was little, of course, that I wanted to be a famous singer someday or performer in some way. So that ties into both my 3 and my 4 in my type. But that 4-wing really has given me the creativity of writing music, the place to express my heart. And music has been a gift to be able to put into words some of my heart and bring all 3 centers, body movement of writing the songs, the intellect of the words coming together and rhyming and all that takes. And then the expression of the heart from a 10-year-old to a junior higher to a high schooler to a young adult to an adult as we struggle carried me through many things in our life and our marriage. And as I learned to write worship music and all kinds of things, this gift of creativity through my Enneagram 4 has been something that has carried me. And so today on the episode, I would like to share a song with you that I have written. I'm going to give you a little context of this song. 2 of my very favorite characters in scripture are the characters of Mary and Joseph. I've always just connected to them in some way. I don't know exactly why. I think it's because maybe I grew up in rural community and a small town. And so maybe that's why I relate to their story, their response, even to what was asked of them to be the parents of the Christ child. And many times I have put myself into their story and think, how would I have responded? I wonder what it would have been like. Almost 20 years ago or more, I'm really not sure exactly when I wrote this song. I wrote this Christmas song about Mary and Joseph. And when I was beginning to think about the podcast and what I might bring on Christmas Day, I decided that the best gift I could bring to you as my listening audience was to share with you a little bit of my heart around the Christmas season. And this song really is my heart as it shares my faith, as it shares my wonder of standing in awe of the work that God does through us and through each of our Enneagram types. I often talk about the Enneagram that we get to reflect a small piece of who God is through these 9 lenses of the world. And so my gift to you this Christmas season is this song. And I hope that you will enjoy listening to it. I will say this recording is actually the original recording that I did over 20 years ago. So you'll have to excuse the vocal quality and the keyboard playing and all of the things. This was done in a sanctuary in a very rough way where we had absolutely no idea what we were doing. But that's part of what makes it special to me is the realness and the rawness of the recording itself. So without further ado, I bring to you an original song called I Wonder.
I wonder how Mary felt that night, knowing that the babe she held was Jesus Christ, knowing that the child she had born had come to save the earth, knowing that the child was born by her. I wonder how Joseph felt that night. Can you imagine how his heart was filled with fright, knowing that the child before his eyes had come to make the great sacrifice. I wonder what it felt like just to be there, just to be in the presence of a king. I wonder what he looked like when he was sleeping. Sure, the angels they did see. Can you imagine what it felt like just to hold him and to know he was the Son of God? Can you imagine what it felt like just to look into his face and to know this tiny child would take your place? Maybe if we all could just imagine, maybe if we all could only see the meaning of a birth is stable. The meaning that it has for you and me. I wonder what it felt like just to be there, just to be in the presence of a king. Wonder what he looked like when he was sleeping. I'm sure the angels, they did see. Can you imagine what it felt like just to hold him and to know that he was the Son of God? Can you imagine what it felt like just to look upon his face and to know this tiny child would take your place, and to know this tiny child would take your place? Yes, to know this tiny child would take your place.
So, from my family to yours, from my heart to yours, remember that every ordinary day has extraordinary moments. And Christmas Day is one of the most extraordinary moments that we could ever experience. Merry Christmas, everyone.